What's good, everybody? My name is Jack Dawkins. Welcome to season 4 of Stage Dive. For those of you who've been listening, you know that the podcast traditionally has been about tips and tricks that make great performances on stage. How to prepare, how to rehearse, how to navigate an audience. But this season, I feel like we've leaned more into a new category, which is the origin story of all of these artists. How did each of these performers become the person, the performer, the artist that they are today? How did they go from zero to getting on stage? And how do they navigate all of the bumps and twists and turns that make the creative journey both beautiful and really challenging? I was blown away by all of our guests this season, and I really, really hope you enjoy this. My guest on today's podcast is Frederic Da Silva, and I'm really curious to see what people think of this podcast because it is at once one of the most inspiring episodes that I've ever done. It is also one of the most confronting. As someone who considers himself someone who is a hard worker and someone who's diligent and persistent, Frederic makes me look like a fucking nobody. This is one of the hardest working people I've ever had the privilege or the pleasure of interviewing. He has gone through so much to get where he is, and where he is completely amazing. You should pay attention to the background of his video because that's his house, standing stories above the Las Vegas Strip. It's completely amazing. So I really hope you listen to this episode, and I would really love to hear your feedback. Did you feel inspired after listening to Frederic, or did you feel kind of intimidated? No wrong answer, I'm just curious. Please enjoy my conversation with Frederic. So, Frederic, my first question for you is, where are you with that outrageously nice view?
This is the best view of Las Vegas.
It's amazing.
And yeah, it's a beautiful view. We are here downtown Las Vegas. And there's a reason why I love this place is because when I first started in Vegas, I was supposed to perform downtown Las Vegas, which is, I'm right in between downtown and Las Vegas right now. And I like this view because it keeps me focused. It reminds me of a poster that I had when I was a child of Las Vegas. And I was looking at it all the time and say, one day I want to be able to be there, and I will see that. It constantly reminds me about my dream. And still today, I think it's important to see it all the time. So reminds me a little bit of my story.
Yeah, 100%. How old were you when you started getting excited about magic?
So I was a very young age. I was 5 years old, and Santa Claus is a big thing in Europe for Christmas. And and afterwards, I realized that maybe Santa Claus is like what people would call as an adult God. It's that guy somewhere in the sky. We don't know where he is, but he's looking at you. He knows exactly what's good for you. He knows if you've been a good boy or bad boy.
Mm.
And for Christmas, I'm 5 years, and he gives me a magic box, a magic set. And I remember opening the package, and when I see this, I mean, I truly believe that moment, it's probably the most important moment of my life. I truly believe that someone from the universe is sending me a message to tell me, we chose you, you're going to be special. We would like you to give you the secrets of magicians. I mean, secrets of magicians is something huge. I mean, we're talking about almost 35 years ago, without the internet, there's no access to nothing.
Right.
And I knew at that very second that my entire life will be dedicated to magic. I have been saying that all my life, and it's still true today. Yeah, long time ago now.
Yeah. Did you grow up in a religious or spiritual family?
Uh, Not really. I mean, Catholic. My family were Catholic, but they were not really involved in any. I mean, we're going to the church every Sunday, and then we stopped going. So, I mean, there were no pressure for me to go to the church all the time. And actually, I was very curious, and I was asking too many questions, and I was being a skeptic, and I was just curious, and people couldn't all answer my questions, so I thought I was not the most desired student.
Got it. Yeah. Um, I would say it's pretty rare for a 5-year-old to know what they're going to do for the rest of their life. So, like, what about that experience do you think made it hit so hard?
I mean, this is one, I try to explain everything in my life. The only thing I cannot explain is where this passion, where this love, where this huge mission, like almost a duty. I don't know where it comes from. I can't explain it. I mean, I can explain almost everything except that. Why is this fire against, this fire that I have inside of me to perform, and I don't know. I just found it very interesting. Like at a very young age, I knew exactly what I wanted to be, But then I start performing magic, and magic is something that people don't understand. But I'm 5 years old. I'm 5 years old, and I'm showing things to adults that they don't understand. This is very unusual for a child. I mean, when you're a child, adults know everything. They have the answers of everything. And now, out of the sudden, I'm a little child presenting things, and I see that people don't understand. And then I became fascinated with the secrets of the universe, and how much of a mystery the thing is. And I never wanted to give up. I mean, I knew since a very young age what I was willing to do. I think it's a blessing.
Yeah, yeah. What was the first trick you learned how to do?
All right, so it was a matchbox, and I showed the matches, and then I take the matchbox on the other side, and the match don't come off, and I give it to you, and the match come off, and everything was examinable. Very little tricks, but I mean, if you think about it, just even simple things in magic sometimes blows people away. And that concerns me to some degree, right? Because I mean, we think we live in a world where you can put a rocket and go to the moon, and you have the answers of everything. You can ask, "Hey Siri," and you have the answer immediately. And then there's a guy coming on stage every day, doing a one-man show in front of people, and every day he fools everybody. Hey, sometimes my powers
Yeah.
get out of control. You see, just started an interview, and there's a national alert on the
Oh
phones.
God.
So yeah, it's a very interesting thing for me, and I do a meet and greet after the show. It's almost, I have scientists, I have doctors, I have astronauts, I have politicians, I have people with a very high status, very intelligent people, and they absolutely. And what I do is a question for them. So now I'm like, well, if one day I have to see a doctor, how can I trust him? Yeah, it's disturbing sometimes for me to understand that people really have no clue of the things that I do.
I mean, that's an interesting tension though, because if they did understand what you do, they probably wouldn't come to the show.
Right, right, right. So, but I mean, if I can fool an entire audience, almost 7 days a week, 50 weeks a year, then don't you think that in a bigger scale, someone or some people are manipulating the entire world to be what it is today, and we are not constantly, educated to believe certain things? I mean, it's very hard for me to believe that the entire universe, the humanity, is not being absolutely controlled to some
Mhm.
degree.
I I want to ask you more about that, but I guess that it brings me to a question first, which is like, what do you think the purpose of magic is?
Well, in the way I do it, it's for entertainment purposes. And, I started as a traditional magician, so making doves appear and girls in boxes that you cut in half and levitations and all that thing. And at a very early age, I wanted to do something different. I thought these things were, childish, and I wanted to have a show in Las Vegas. My entire life was to have a show in Las Vegas. And I come here at the age of 18, and I see Siegfried and Roy. The guys were making elephants appear and tigers and David Copperfield. I realized that I would never have the money to compete with these big shows. So there was, if I wanted to do illusions, someone could come with a check and just buy out my show, just do the same thing, and I didn't want that to happen. So I thought that I had to do something that really nobody can steal from me. And the only thing that I could figure out was to do something that generally requires so much work that no one can just come up with a lot of money and just steal my show from one day to another. If it takes 20 years to learn a skill, well, and this is the only way you can do it, then I knew that I would be safe. So mentalism, tricks with my mind, or whatever you want to call it, was the go for. And I realized the impact that it had on people that was completely different from normal magic tricks, because it touches, the paranormal theme and the supernatural and all there's something believable in the performance of a
Mm.
mentalist. that you don't find if you just make a car disappear. Nobody believes that the car really didn't exist 3 minutes ago and it was not just hidden somewhere in the theater, right?
Yeah.
And also it touches more I mean, the psychology of magic is always what fascinated me. What happens in people's brain and heart and how they feel is generally something that has fascinated me forever.
Yeah. And do you feel, how would you describe the difference between how illusions make people feel versus mentalism makes people feel?
I think people know that illusions are illusions. I mean, they are not real, and they know that it's just a trick, and nobody believes in them. So when you don't believe in something, it's like watching a bad movie, right? Your brain doesn't disconnect from this isn't real. I'm not buying it. The mentalist works more with your mind. There's no props. There's nothing you see nothing. So, if I make a bird appear, you can think that maybe it's in the jacket, maybe it's in the sleeve, maybe it was under the table, right? Even if it's not the way it's done, your brain can somehow, backtrack and you can have an explanation for how it's done. With mentalism, if it's done the right way, because it's a trick with your brain, if you didn't catch it, you will probably never catch it. You can watch the same thing over and over and over. It's like create a moment of amnesia. I mean, if you don't remember a dream, you don't remember a dream. That's something that happened that make you say or think something, and you will never be able to understand. And also, it's a direct trick with people's mind and thought. It's not like something you can watch, but you're not involved. Mentalism involves real people. It's like a little bit like hypnosis. So the connection with the artist and the audience is absolutely direct. I mean, it's so direct that it's invisible. It's supposed to be from here to your brain. You don't even know what happened. So I think the connection with the audience is very different. And the emotionality connected with the audience is completely different because they're not just watching something, it's something that happened to them.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, if I make a bottle appear right now, you're just watching it. It's like every other art. I could be jungling or I can do being acrobat. There's nothing related to you. You're not directly concerned into that. There's no difference between watching it on YouTube and watching it real life, except your eyes are actually watching it.
Interesting. I think you started to give the answer to this, but did this shift come when you finally made it to Vegas and then saw that like the path of traditional magic was just going to be so much? I don't even know if harder is the right word, because it sounds like the mentalism has been an incredible amount of work, but it's more so it's less defensible.
I have no problem in the amount of work. And I thought that if I have to fight against you, I will fight by working harder, and I'm absolutely fine about that. So working harder is the best weapon for me. I enjoy working. Working is my entire life. I work all the time. I never stop working, and I can work just by thinking about things. So for me, it's the most comfortable fight for me is to fight by working harder than other people. So I'm fine with that. I love it. What I don't like is people buying things to make themselves look better, or having plans in the audience, or using methods that I think are extremely disappointing. And a lot of people do that. You like talking to people before the show started. I just don't like that. I'm very traditional. Even when I was doing magic tricks, I would not allow myself to have an extra card in the deck, or to have a marked card, or to have that, that kind of things. For me, traditionally, you should be shame on yourself to do it. I know that nowadays, 3 decades later, things have changed completely, but I still have that mindset that whatever the secret is, it has to be as beautiful, if not more beautiful, than the trick that the audience sees and perceive. I don't know if I answer your question, because what was your question? Maybe you forgot your question.
No, you did. It was really kind of like what was the moment, or when did that shift happen? And it sounds like you were seeing the size of some of these shows and some of the techniques used, and because you're so comfortable putting in the work to develop the skill, that wasn't a barrier for you.
Yeah, I wanted, and also I wanted to be, I remember one day I was performing in a variety show. There was a lot of performers, there was acrobats, there were people that were here since the morning, stretching and practicing for their 8 minute thing. And I was a magician and I was just doing a levitation that basically you just put a prop somewhere and it just basically you push a button. And I was ashamed. I was like, Frederic, I remember going on stage many times and say, Frederic, you already spent 25 years dedicating your entire life to magic and you're doing something that anybody could learn in 1 month. That's not okay. There's something wrong because someone is going to come over here, start magic in 1 month and do the same trick that you're doing. Someone is going to buy that box and do whatever you're doing right now. So what is this 20 years dedicated to my art are for? The only way it makes sense if you do something that takes 20 years to practice. Now I'm beating you because you're 20 years later than me and you're not going to catch me up. So this is when mentalism came. I mean, and also, I mean, really, if I make a car appear on stage, the only guy who did nothing is the magician. I mean, don't you see that the only guy who did nothing was the guy who is in front of the curtain, then say this, and then the curtain comes down and the car appear? Don't you think that there's 10 or 15 people or 20 people that have worked extraordinary, that never take credit for nothing because they're backstage, because they need to disappear as soon as the car appear? And these are the people who did the job. Don't you think that when a magician put a girl in a box and put the spikes, don't you think that she's struggling inside the box? Do you think the magician is struggling? No. So I thought there was something wrong about this art where the guy takes a bow alone on stage at the end when mostly he did nothing and just take credit for something he didn't really know. So I wanted to be able to be proud of myself and carry myself with dignity and pride and say, what I'm doing right now, I'm doing the entire thing myself. I have no assistance on stage or outstage. I'm the only one. I don't use electronics in my show. I don't use pre-show. There's no stooge. There's nothing. I want to be able to be on stage and say, I'm doing the entire thing on my own. The only person that you can give applause is me because nobody did it for me backstage. So for me, that was something important. Otherwise, I would just feel bad.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. I'm really curious, like what does your schedule look like? And like the extension of that question is like, so performing is obviously work, preparing for your shows, and you have a full-time residency in Vegas. I imagine that eats up a lot of time. But what does practice, what does work look like for you?
Well, my entire life is work, but I don't consider work because as soon as I don't work, I'm bored immediately. So I don't know what to do. So for me, my life is working 7 days a week. If I can work 50 weeks a year, it's perfect. I take 2 times in the year, 6 days off. And during these 6 days off, I travel to France, Portugal, and I visit my grandmother, my parents. I stay there for 4 days and I come back. That's it. I never took a vacation. I'm not interested in taking a vacation. I could be anywhere I want in the world. I'm just not interested because, life is very limited. And I know that I live every day by thinking, one day someone is going to go to the box office and ask a ticket to see my show, and someone is going to tell them that the show is over. There's no more show. One day, the guarantee I have in my life is one day my show is going to close. That's the guarantee. Someone is going to go to the box office, ask a ticket to see me, and someone is going to tell them, he got hit by a bus, it's over. And no one is going to replace me. No one is going to do what I do. It's going to finish. That's the only certainty you have in life. So whatever you do, it's going to be over. I remember Siegfried and Roy. I was living in Las Vegas. I love these guys. And I was like, I can see them whenever I want. I go in front of the theater every day. Well, one day I'm going to go, I'm in the theater and I see that the guy has been attacked by his tiger and that's it. Look, I loved Celine Dion. Am I going to see Celine Dion again? I don't know. Someone, and the same thing for the audience. I mean, I have these weird thoughts in my brain. I mean, I look at the audience, and as I'm doing the show, because I've been doing this so much, I mean, I have still time to think about things. I'm like, how many people are not going to end up the year? What's the percentage? There's 200 people in the show. How many of them are going to die this year and will never come see me again? When you live with that feeling all the time that I think is extremely realistic. You really don't want to spend a day off at home, going to the car dealership. I used to have boats and yachts. I sold all of them. There's nothing in my life that compares with the feeling to go on stage. It's my entire life. I don't want to miss an opportunity to work. So I wake up in the morning, 6 o'clock, I'm at the gym. I try to be as much mentally and physically strong as I can. I go to the gym at 6 o'clock. I don't eat. I just take a double espresso. I like the feeling to be starving a little bit. Puts me in a more combative mode. You know, like there's something that I'm trying to get. I'm like a little bit feeling not angry, but you know, not feeling absolutely comfortable. I have no manager. I have no producer. I don't have investors. I never took a loan. I never asked for money. I did the entire thing on myself. I mean, this is the only show in Vegas, as far as I know. And I think that in the history of Las Vegas, I'm the only person who's been here for 10 years with a show that costs $10. I mean, I have nothing. I have an old Da Vinci Code. I have a dictionary. I borrow a watch. I take some tape that I put on my face, paper, envelopes, business cards that I take at the casino, pens that I steal at the registration every day. That's it. I created a show with $10, with nobody, with 0 people on my team. I'm under an LLC and the only person who works is me. So people who think that you're not succeeding because that big manager never called you, or you don't have the right team, or you don't have the logo, or you can't pay the guy to do your business cards. I mean, I'm telling you, it's garbage. You can do everything on your own. That's what I do. The time that is going to take you to find the right people, you would have learned their job already, and you would do it better. I don't have a PR. I don't have a public relationship person. I have nothing. And I had a show for 10 years in Las Vegas, and I made millions of dollars. So I work all the time, and that's why I like to work. So in the morning, I go to the gym, then I take my coffee, then I respond to the emails. I get in contact with the box office. Today, the escalators are not working, so I need staff to be down the escalators to indicate people where to go to the showroom and take the elevator. And then usually I have rehearsals twice a week. And I don't need these rehearsals. It's actually programming. We tweak the lighting, the sound, everything for 2 hours. Twice a week. I've been doing that 50 weeks a year for the last 10 years. When I arrive to the theater, the guy is there. And if I can't find anything for him, he's going to get paid anyway. And he's going to be pissed off by me because I asked him to come when I had nothing. So my job is to always find something to do, find something to improve. Then I do the setup of my show. I prepare my props myself. It's locked. I don't have an assistant preparing my stuff because it's actually more worries. If she or he did something wrong that he didn't tell me or he's not aware, now I'm on stage and I'm like, hopefully nothing fall on the floor, that I have nothing. So I do everything on my own. I even put my props on my own, and the union doesn't want to because you're supposed to pay a guy to put a union tech to put. But I say no. These are part of there's secrets about the way this is prepared. So I even get away with that. I do the show on my own after I do the meet and greet, and I prepare for the next day, and then that's the end of my day. So that's what a day looks like.
Yeah. This might seem a strange question. Are you happy?
I knew you will ask me this question. I could have it in my pocket right there. People always ask me that question, and to be honest, it's a very difficult question for me. I can tell you that it's not something that I'm pursuing.
Yeah.
So I don't really know. I mean, being happy is kind of irrelevant for me. I want to be doing things that I consider that are difficult and stressful, and I want to be proud of myself, and I like progression. I need to know that I'm doing the right things and I'm moving forward and I'm doing good, and people are happy to come and see my show and they have a great time, and hopefully I connect with them. That's a form of content. But like, I have no TV at home. I'm not interested in watching happy movies. I don't know. I'm certainly not unhappy, but I would have to live somebody else's life who claims to be happier than me, but I would probably be bored being happy. I don't even think, for the people with my mindset, if I have nothing to fight about, I'm going to find a problem. I'm going to find something that I'm not good enough to challenge myself. So I'm very, very tough with myself. But this is the way I am. This is how, athletes are. This is how, people who break records are. If I'm too much happy or content with what I have, I'm going to get bored. And I need to constantly feed my brain with something challenging that I am excited about the future. I don't know if I could be happy and excited about the future if I don't have a big challenge to excite my brain.
Yeah. What do you feel like that challenge is right now?
Well, I've been staying away from all platform, Facebook and Instagram. I don't have TikTok. I don't have Twitter. I was very focused on in my work, and the only way that people could kind of communicate with me were coming to my show, and I was very secret about who is actually this guy who does his show on stage. And I think I came to an age where I'm going to communicate a little bit more with the audience and tell them a little bit more who I am, exactly what I'm doing with you right now. I appreciate my conversation with you. And this is a conversation that I wouldn't have had before because I felt that this was part of the secret recipe of who I am. And now I think doing the show is great, but there's something more profound that it's time for me to reveal. And expressing that to people, maybe they can connect with me in a way that they couldn't just by watching me performing.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I have some questions I want to dig into there, but before I do that, like this, you mentioned like people who have this mindset, my mindset, like how much of that was nature, were you born with? How much of that was cultivated by your family, your environment? How much of that was the work you put into yourself? Like, where do you think that mindset came from?
I can honestly tell you that nobody educated me to be like that. And when I see people, watching these motivational videos and books, I just know that if you need to be motivated, if you look for that, you're going to fight with people that don't need that stuff, right? That's the way I'm wired. I don't really need to make any effort to be in this fighting mode, warrior, be able to take as much garbage in my life and trash. You can put me on hell and I still don't care. And that's the way I am. With no preparation, with no motivation, no matter which day of the year, it doesn't matter. So unfortunately, I think that some people are just born this way and they end up by naturally be having an ability or being stronger than people who try hard to become like that. People, there's a lot of people who compares motivation with discipline. My calendar will be up for next year. You can find any day of the year. Come to Vegas and see my show. If you can't see my show today, it means that I performed yesterday and I will still perform tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to be in a great mood on April 9th, 2024.
Right.
But I know already for sure that even if I feel absolutely terrible, even if I'm devastated, even if I'm sick, even if I'm crying, even if I lost my dog, I'm going to do the show. So I'm not going to wait in the morning to say, oh, I'm motivated today, I want to do my show. No, my calendar is on sale for 1 year in advance. I'm going to do the show regardless. So it's just a mindset. You have to do what you have to do. And it doesn't matter how you feel. You ask me, do I feel happy? Well, sometimes sometimes in my life, I was so sick. I suffer sometimes from dizziness. And I remember going on stage and say, this is a torture. Because I was so sick. And I did it anyway. And sometimes I say to the staff, if I ask you for a bottle of water, it's really a bad sign. It means that I'm ready to faint. Sometimes I say to my staff, I don't know if I'm going to make it. And I start to talk to the box office and say, I'm really feeling terrible today. If I can't finish the show, I want you to reimburse every person without asking. So just be ready to push the button. Be ready. This show can be canceled on the middle. Never happened to me, but I still did the show regardless. So I don't need anything to motivate me. I'm going to do the things that need to be done. Even if it's suffering, even if it's pain, I don't care. I'm going to do it no matter what, because that's how I'm wired. So I don't need to be motivated to do the things. I'm just disciplined, I guess.
Yeah. There's another moment I wanted to circle back to. You mentioned there was a time when you had possessions, you had boats, you had all these things that you had spent your money on, and you decided to get rid of them. Like,
I tried.
Was that? Well, tried, right? You at least got rid of your TV and your yacht. That's a good thing.
I never had a TV.
Was that another like click moment in time where you realized, or was that like a gradual shift?
I spent my entire life working to achieve an impossible dream that was, as a guy like nobody like me, have a show in Las Vegas and stay, right? I mean, I don't know if you know the business in Las Vegas, but basically most of performers in the world would love to have a show in Las Vegas and headline your own show, particularly when you're a magician. I mean, probably 80% of magicians would dream to have a show in Las Vegas. Now, there's a difference between someone who wants to have a show in Las Vegas and I want to have a show in Las Vegas. You know, maybe you want to be rich. I don't want to be rich. So I make a lot of money, but I'm not super rich because I probably don't want money as much as the guy who has $150 million in his bank account. He wanted it more than I want. So everybody wants to have a show in Las Vegas. I'm telling you the truth. I was 18 years, I come to Las Vegas and I'm sitting in front of the fountains of the Bellagio. And in between two sets, I stay there the entire day. I look around and there's Bally's, that now is the Horseshoe where I perform. And there's these giant TV screens. And that idea come in my mind that I knew that will never leave me. One day, my show is going to display on these TV screens there. And I knew at that moment, oh no, here we go. Another idea that is going to ruin my life. I say it with a smile, but basically that's what it is. The idea came. I know that it's so powerful. The magnitude of this idea is so intense that I know that until my face is not going to be on this thing, my life is going to be dedicated to that. And I dedicate my life so much to these goals that are impossible that I live constantly somewhere on the back of my mind thinking that if this is a pipe dream, I will end up by being 90 years old on my bed ready to die. And if this is a pipe dream, or if I didn't work enough, then I would have spent my entire life working in towards something that never happened. If you don't realize your dream and all you do in your life is thinking about your dream night and day, because I was controlling my dreams at night when I was sleeping so I could work more, because I couldn't stand the fact that I was sleeping 8 hours a day just dreaming of random stuff. So I start to work lucid dreaming. So as soon as I'm dreaming that I'm on the beach, my brain controls it. No, you're working now. This is how intensely I lived my life. So if my only dream to have a show in Las Vegas would never have happened, then I can say that I ruined my life, probably. I mean, maybe God will tell me later, you didn't ruin your life. But this is how dramatic things are. But if you don't take that shift to go 100%, it's likely never going to happen. So when I say I wanted to have my show in Las Vegas, my brain, my heart told me, if there's only one spot, one day for one guy to have a show in Vegas, the universe is going to give it to the person in the world who wants it the most. So I knew that it will be me, because I knew that no one wants this more than me. Honestly, I'm not making that stuff up. I knew it will be me. No one, and I still believe it today, that no one in this planet would have beat me on willing it more than I did. So it was for me, because that power, that force that I was bringing to the universe was way stronger than any opposite force to not let me do it. Took me 12 years though.
Hey everybody, it's Jack Dawkins here, and I just wanted to let you know that my debut album, Integration, is out now on all platforms. This has been a labor of love, and I mean that both in terms of the love part and also the labor. So much work and time and energy and sweat and tears and all the things went into making this album and sharing it with you in the way that we have. I really hope you'll take the time to listen to it, even if just once. It would mean so much to me. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all the love and support you've given so far, and I promise you, this is only the beginning. I'll see you soon. Pa.
Oh, that's interesting. So, like, you got here when you were 18. You saw the TV screen at the Bellagio. My face is going to be there. 12 years to sort of make that happen. Like, I'm curious about what moments you remember that felt like a sign from the universe of like, I'm on the right track. I'm doing the right thing. This is all happening the way it's supposed to. And then if there were any low moments, like what did you do? Or did you ever feel like, oh my God, what if this doesn't work out?
Jack, I always thought for whatever reason that it's going to happen. I never doubt. Never, ever, ever. And the other thing is I have nothing else to do in my life. If you tell me, okay, forgive about your dream, then the next hour, I'm like going to be sitting, like I have nothing to do. So I'm either alive and fighting and going forward, or I just don't know what else to do. I never doubt that I will not get it. I knew I had that level of certainty that is absolutely inflexible. I didn't know how hard it would be. I didn't know when. I didn't know how, but I knew that it will happen. So when I knock at your door and I say, my name is Frederic, I would like, and you're the director of entertainment of the Flamingo Hotel, and you tell me no, I'm like, and everybody tells me no, and I'm back on the airplane. I'm like, it's interesting. These people still don't know that one day I'm going to have a show in Las Vegas. That shows you that I know something about the future that you don't know. And that makes me powerful. And when you know, because nobody knows, I'm the only person who knows that. This is how gifted I believed I was from the universe. I had that level of certainty that no matter how many times you're going to tell me no, I know something about the future that you don't know. It's like believing yourself that you have a psychic ability and you can go to the future and you know what's going to happen. When you have that mindset, at some point, doors start to break because you're pushing too much harder. The energy I'm putting to open this door is everything in my life. A guy behind the door trying to, resist for no reason when he just have to open it and just let it go and then just continue his life. People are going to continue their life. It's more important for me to achieve what I want than you sacrificing your life for me not to achieve what I want. You have your life too. You're limited. You have your stuff. At some point, you just say, okay, just go. Do your thing. So during 12 years, I grew up in France. I needed $1,000 to buy a flight to Vegas, take the cheapest hotels I could to stay as long as I could. When I arrived here, I was sleeping in front of Caesar's Palace outside. There was grass at that time. So I could save one night. I was bringing my little luggage to the Hooters. I was tipping the guy at $2 because I was jet lagged, so I didn't need to sleep. My life was coming here to Vegas, knock as many doors as I can, people telling me no, and then the Flamingo director of entertainment tells you no, then Ballet, it's the same guy, then you go at Paris, it's the same guy, because these are two groups of casinos, they're two people. Once they told you no, it's over. But I couldn't take it in my brain, so I keep coming over and over and over and over. I create so much stuff to try to figure out how to get this show in Las Vegas. It's just unbelievable. I was even at some point producing a TV show in France called The World of Magic. And the idea was, for me, I was going in the most beautiful places in the world, interviewing so I could get access to that manager of that restaurant because I was interviewing him. And by the end of the interview, well, now he's my friend. So I was doing some close-up magic. I asked him, can I work in your restaurant for just an 8-week shooting? I invent everything I could possibly come up with because I had the mindset of the magician. And that's what was very different. I was blessed with that. What does a magician do? A magician does things that are impossible to do. If you tell me it's impossible, great. I just know exactly what I'm going to do. You can't fly? Fantastic. I'm going to create, this is the best trick I could do. What is the most impossible thing I can do? You tell me, I'm going to do it. So I don't feel failure as something that can stop me. You know, the things I do on stage are things that everybody would fail because they are impossible. And that's exactly what I want to do. So when I fail about something, I mean, I don't think I failed. I think, okay, this is impossible. It's a magic trick. Nobody has ever figured out the secret how to do it, which means that if I succeed, no one is going to know how in the world did I do that. And I still believe that today, people don't really understand how I came up with having my show in Las Vegas and stay for so long. So during 12 years, I was working in France, 3 weeks, get $1,000. As soon as I had $1,000, I was coming back to Vegas, knocking at every door I could, invent any story I could possibly come up to just break that door that kept blocked. People told me no, go back in the airplane, say, this is interesting. I'm the only person in the world who knows I'm going to have a show in Las Vegas. These people still don't know. Go in France, go work. I was even working in like the equivalent of Walmart, doing magic trick to say, oh, you have a stain and make a handkerchief appear. The handkerchief is black, comes white because you put the powder. Anything. I was working during the day. At night, I was working in cabarets. I was working at cabaret at 8 o'clock. Then I was going to another cabaret at 10, another one at midnight. And I even go to another cabaret at 2 o'clock in the morning when the show was over. Like there were other performers and the guy on the microphone said, the show is over, but there's these guys coming at 2 o'clock in the morning. If you want to wait 2 hours, he's going to show you something amazing. People were waiting and I was coming here. The show is over. There was people still waiting for me, doing my performance. And I worked all my life. When I was 13, I was working at night on restaurants, and I was not even able to work in restaurants and pubs. I had a special authorization from the government because I didn't even have the legal age to work. Waking at 5 o'clock in the morning, do my homework for school, go at school during the day. This is what I've been doing. So for 12 years, people tell me no. So every 3 weeks, I'm going back to France and coming here. And one day, I mean, long story short, I'm basically working on the street, where I'm kicked out constantly because people tell me it's a private property. You can't work on the street. Long story short, they give me a chance at Bally's for a 6 weeks contract. Jack, I put all the money I had in my bank account. This is the moment of my life where I know that I'm not going to mess up. If I messed up, I can't wait another 12 years before someone finally gives me a chance. I can't. And it's probably going to more than 12 years because now I'm a loser. So I can't, this is the moment of my life where I can't mess up at all. I take all the money I have in my bank account of that guy that has been working professionally since the age of 13 years. I put all in, put my face on the Las Vegas magazine everywhere. I'm everywhere in town. You don't know that I'm not here. I have 6 weeks. On day one, I called the box office to know how many tickets we sold because I want to set up the room. And they told me 0. And 0 the next day, and 0 the next day, and 0 the next week. That was the most messed up moment of my life.
Oh my God.
I can't give up. I cannot. Impossible. I'm still alive. I'm not going to give up. I understand why people told me no for 12 years, because they knew that this will happen. Because it happens to even bigger names. They still don't sell what they think they're going to sell. Celine Dion is in front of me, you know, all these big stars are here. Why do you come see a guy who you never heard of? Nobody did. I can't give up. So my residency is from Thursday to Sunday. I don't work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm going to take a flight on Sunday night after my show. I'm going to go back to Europe because everybody asked me for work. Everybody wants to work for me in Europe. I still have a lot of clients. I'll sleep on the airplane. I'll arrive there. I'll work as many shows as I can possibly work. I have basically 48 hours. I'll make as much money as I can. I'll go back to Geneva, sleep on the floor on the airport. I slept like on the tiles. It was so uncomfortable, but this is how it was. I sleep on the floor, take the flight, go back to America with whatever money I make. Say, here's how much money I owe you for the last week, for the rent and for the staff and everything. Give me another week. And I keep doing this. I spend my life on the airplanes all the time. I spend my life on the airplanes all the time. And I did that for 1 year. I never stopped going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I did that for almost 1 year. And after 1 year, people were starting to write reviews on TripAdvisor, Yelp, Vegas.com. We became the #1 rated show in all Las Vegas, 4.9 out of 5 stars. People start to come back. People start to bring other people. And the audience rescued me. And again, that was my only plan. When I arrived at Bally's Hotel, they told me, what is your business plan? I didn't even know what the word means. I never study anything. I never study economy. I know nothing. I don't even know what a business plan is. I think it's stupid. I know that even today, you can take my show, you can call it the same way. You can put another guy doing the show, stealing my lines, stealing my music, stealing my lighting, everything. And it's not going to work as much as my show works. And you're taking the same concept. So would you come to Las Vegas where this is garbage? Only you will connect with an audience. I mean, you can't have a business plan. There's no business plan. You're tweeting things as you go and you're trying to make it work. So I had no business plan. And when people told me, so where is your staff? I had no staff. Where are your props? I had no props. So how is your show going to work? And you know what? I perfectly remember that. I almost had tears in my eyes because I felt so bad. I said, I know nothing. And I said, people will help me. Thinking about the audience. These 11 people that are going to show up one day to see my show are going to help me. And that's what people do. The audience rescued me. That's why every day I'm like, you know, I do a free meet and greet. People always ask me, why don't you charge for the meet and greet? How can I charge for the meet and greet? I've been waiting for these people all my life. How can I possibly charge you to take a picture with me? I don't know. The audience, when I'm on stage, I always think, I don't know, how can I give back to these people what they gave me? They gave me so much.
Yeah. What do you remember what it felt like the first night you had people come to the show?
Well, it was gradually. Sometimes it was 2 people, sometimes 11, sometimes. And you know what? Even my dignity. One day I had 11 people. I was almost broke. I gave my credit card to my technician who does the sound and light. I say, Jonathan, I'm not even going on stage. I'm going to do the show just right next where people are sitting. I'll just make a circle and I'll do my show. I don't need a microphone. I don't need music, nothing. I'll just perform my show like privately, like you were sitting in your couch and I'll perform for you. And I gave him my credit card and I say, go to the ATM. This is my personal code. I want you to bring me cash because I'm not going to charge for these people. I'm going to give them cash to refund them and I'm going to perform for free. So this is the level of dignity I have and respect for my audience. And I insist for people to accept my money. And I still perform for them. And I know that these people probably recommend me to somebody else. I have people today. 2 days ago, I had a guy, he was 15 years, and he said, I'm a big fan of you. And he told me, I was 5 years when I saw your show. And I was like, wow. He was here probably the first year when I was here, because I've been here for 10 years.
Right.
It's crazy. So when you ask me, are you happy? I mean, I have no regrets. There's nothing that can beat that. I mean, bring me a car, bring me steak, bring me girls. I don't care. That second when I can connect with the audience and I know that I'm touching their heart, connecting with their soul, that is absolutely priceless. And that was worth all the garbage and trash and stress that I have been through. And I'm willing to continue for that. And it's so worth it. Like, I don't even care about my own happiness. It's just mundane for me.
Yeah.
I care about your
What?
happiness and
What?
I care about my audience happiness. So I'm creating these moments for them. And then it's so beautiful. If I can connect with them, I can take a piece of it. You know, for me, you say, oh, I did that. People are, oh,
Right.
and then I'm like, oh, this is fun. This is beautiful. And I'm part of it.
Yeah. Let me not assume. Do you have fun when you perform?
If I have what?
Fun.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This is so much fun. This is so beautiful. I'm enjoying every second, every reaction, every person that comes on stage, regardless how they react. I love them. And this is one of the biggest secrets, and it took me a long time, is to never get pissed off on stage because the spectator is not reacting as you want. He's messing up. Now you're in difficult mode. Then you have to go to the backup thing. It's slowing things down. People can sense if you're in a bad mood, if you start not liking them, if you say, oh, this audience is below average, when you come on stage, they're not clapping or screaming as much as the average audience. I don't care. I don't let anybody or anything affecting my mood, that I am absolutely in love with these people. And it reflects all my mindset. It's a beautiful conquest for me. I'm going to conquer these people that maybe are cold today. Maybe they are not my biggest fan. Maybe they come say, oh, I'm a skeptic. I'm not going to believe in any of what these guys. It's a beautiful conquest. I mean, victories are beautiful because they're hard. A victory that didn't take you any effort is not a victory, basically. So I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in conquering the world and an audience. And if that audience is difficult, and I see at the very beginning that things starts very hard, I'm excited. I'm like the pilot on the airplane and everything goes wrong and the automatic thing and now I'm in charge and people are going to clap and scream and I'm going to be on the news because everybody's supposed to be dead and finally I have a chance to show how great I am. So I always, and here's something that I don't think I have shared with anybody. Before I go on stage, if I feel that the audience is going to be cold, I say to myself, these people don't love me yet, but they will. They don't know that they are my biggest fans, but they will know in a few minutes. And so I know that the lower you start, I know that I'm going to end up here anyway. Same thing. I'm going to have a show in Las Vegas. I don't care if you don't believe in me. I know I'm going to get there. It's more impressive if I do this. It's more impressive if I do this. The audience notice that stuff. The audience notice how much work you put to just conquer these people. So at the end, people know the journey you made, you know, to get your audience on your side. And they will appreciate it even more. So I don't let anything break me apart or say, okay, I don't like these people, I'm giving up, all right, I can't wait tomorrow to have a different crowd. Never. And we all perform, we all know that sometimes the audience is not reacting as much, but then I do the meet and greet and people do come. And then I say, this is very interesting. I didn't thought that as many people will come to the meet and greet. And these people love it. And then you see the next day the reviews. So we very often misunderstand the reaction of an audience. Some people just don't like to scream. I'm uncomfortable screaming when I go see a show. I'm quiet, I'm focused, and I can be absolutely in love with it. I can be stunned in silence. I can be so emotionally involved in something that you think there's no reaction. I'm just mind blown. So if you don't let these thoughts coming through your brain, it's much more powerful. You have a chance to be loved by an audience every single day. People can feel that stuff. I see it many times. Oh, this guy is pissed off. Oh, this thing is not going the way that he wants. Oh, look, he starts to be rude. His facial starts to change. And now and now the audience feels that, and then they mimic the guy who is doing on stage. It's a mirroring thing.
I like it's particularly the idea of letting an audience be cold rather than trying to fight or not accept the fact that they are where they are, but actually allowing it to be an opportunity to take them even further than where they were.
Part of what I do is, if the way I know, I've been doing this for a long time. I know what your brain is going to think of. He uses stooges, maybe he has an earpiece, maybe I know all this stuff because I've been performing a long time. I mention these things all the time. Everything I know you're going to think of, I'm going to mention it in a funny way. All right, maybe you think I have an earpiece, maybe you think there's a camera. Yes, leave immediately. Ha, ha, ha. No, you come on stage, you check, I don't have earpiece, I don't have things, nothing, all right? Nothing, you can even put your fingers, it's an exceptional situation. Ha, ha, ha. People laugh about these things, so they're going to remember later, okay, the guy has nothing in his ear. Maybe if you want to go anyway, if you don't trust me, go anyway. I'm literally pushing the guy on his back. So he starts to go somewhere. As soon as I see that he's leaving, I say, if you don't trust me. So now it creates a laugh. People say, this guy on stage, he's leaving because he doesn't trust me. I actually influence him to leave because I push him before I say, if you don't trust me. So people say, oh, this guy on stage, nobody trusts him, but but I'm eliminating every possible way that you think that my show is done. But I'm also showing you that I know what you're thinking, and it's fine. So I even say a joke. I know most of what you're thinking. You're thinking, do you think everybody works for this guy with the only two people who purchase a ticket to see the entire thing happening? And people laugh because I know they've been thinking about that. But by making this statement, I'm also showing you, I know exactly what you're thinking. And even by saying this joke, that's the reality. And then people understand, yeah, it doesn't make sense. All right, people choose by chance by throwing frisbees, etc. And then I say, who knows this volunteer here who catch the frisbee? And then there's 6 people raising their hand. I say, so now imagine I have to pay 6 people just to pretend that they know this guy. Don't you see that at the end of the show it would be a financial disaster? These little things make people being very cold, but because I'm acknowledging it instead of dismissing it, and people understand that I'm comfortable with the audience being skeptics and cold, or what. I mean, people are not cold with me, but I mean, in the grand scheme of things, you can always,
Right.
okay, the show is always great, but then you still stretch it, and there's still days that it's better than other days. So, I mean, yeah, I intentionally say all these negative things that are perceived by performers, that they're having a hard time on stage. I mention them, and then people get relaxed, and people see that I'm comfortable with the way they relax, and then they get comfortable, and by the end of the show, people just switch off. having a great time. And this is probably the biggest secrets for a performer. People have to like you. It's you have to be exceptional in your technique, but that's not even something that should be mentioned. Why would you be an acrobat if you don't want to be the best acrobat in the world? So being exceptional technically in what you do is so obvious that it's a waste of time to mention it, right? So consider that you're the best already. Connecting with an audience is the most important thing. If people don't like you, you can be the number one better guy in the world. People just don't care. Who is the best jungler? How many balls what's the world record? Do you know? I don't know. I don't know.
No.
So maybe I'm juggling with 6 balls and you think I'm the best juggler in the world. And there's a guy who pissed off somewhere in the world because he can do it with 59 and people don't call him the best in the world. Right? So at the end, the audience decides and the audience knows nothing. The audience have a heart. They emotionally connect. And that's probably all they care. And if everybody tells you that you're the best, then the guy who's pissed off because he thinks he's the best because he can juggle with more balls than you, who wins at the end? Who wins? When there's an election and more people vote for that guy and that guy becomes president, even if it pisses you off, even if you think that this guy is not the best, well, who wins? People have no clue of what I do. They can't even judge me for my technique. Because if my technique is so good, it's absolutely invisible. When you do sleight of hand stuff that I don't do, people kind of see, okay, that must be very difficult to do, right? Why are you not doing it? Because you don't care enough, right? Do you know how to juggle? How many balls? If most of people don't, it's just because they have no interest, right?
Right.
So if you think you're going to conquer the world doing something that people could do, but they're not doing it just because they don't care enough, then you're approaching an audience the wrong way.
Yeah.
Do you go see Adele because you would like to sing and you're not a good singer? No, nobody does that. I don't. Why do I go see Adele then? Why do people listen to singers knowing that maybe they don't have the best voice in the world? Why does the guy who goes the higher is not the only guy that people hear? Because that guy maybe doesn't touch you. You're not emotionally involved. He doesn't tell a story that leaves you speechless. He doesn't immediately bring you to a mood that you're looking for at that moment when you just put your playlist. So the only thing I care is the audience. I do that for the audience and not just for me to break the record of, oh, I'm the only guy who can memorize that amount of words in the book. I just really don't care about that. However, if the best reaction I have is an effect where I have to learn the dictionary and it will take me 10 years, I have no problem learning the dictionary from page 1 to page 10,000 if I need to, if this is what the audience wants. If they don't care, well, then I don't care. I only care about what works with an audience. If it's an easy thing, well, yeah, great.
Frederic, this has been such a wonderful conversation. You have such a fire, such an energy. It's really wonderful. It sounds like you're not really big on social media, but people can definitely come see you at your show in Vegas.
Yes, I will come back in social media. I was intentionally silent for a long time because I needed to focus on the things that I was doing.
Yes. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for being here. I appreciate you so much. And well, I'll come to Vegas. I gotta come see this show. I gotta come see what it took you 12 years to build.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Jack. Good luck with the podcast. You're doing a great job. And congratulations for giving a platform to performers to express themselves to and reach an audience. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for listening today. It is genuinely my pleasure, my joy to share these conversations with you. If you are able, if you're willing, please leave a review, hopefully a good one, on whatever platform it is that you're enjoying these conversations. It really helps us with visibility and having these stories be told to a wider and wider audience. There are many, many ways you can connect with us. The best one, just reach out to stagedivepodcast@gmail.com. You can recommend a guest, you can give us feedback, you can send us memes, whatever would make you happy. Thank you again for being here. My name is Jack Dawkins, and we'll see you again soon.